Today, RC drivers, we're taking a quick look at the team-associated RB10, actually the LiPo battery and charger combo, which goes for $399.99, and at the time I'm filming this, they have it on sale for $330, so I would definitely jump on it if you're looking to get into a two-wheel drive buggy and you need a battery and charger. But this is a ready-to-run brushless two-wheel drive off-road buggy. A lot of fun to drive. We're gonna get into the car. I'm gonna show you all its features. I'm gonna show you how fast it goes, and I'm gonna drive it on 2 different tracks so you can see how it performs. All right, let's get into this RB10. Starting off with the outside, they have a cab forward racing style body on it. Absolutely love that they've given us a modern body. Some of their previous releases, they just carry the old style body over to each car that they did, but love this modern cab forward look to it. They've got a radical paint jobs, a bunch of different streaks throughout. I've got the blue version. There's also a red version. They've got a high downforce spoiler out back, and then check out all 4 corners, actual pins on the tires. This is kind of like a medium compound, so it's going to be good for all types of off-road fun, maybe even turf as well. Mounted to white dish wheels, 12mm hexes for that. I like the look of the buggy overall. It just looks like a custom race buggy versus a ready to run. Let's move on to the chassis. It's a composite molded tub. They have Velcro straps to secure the battery pack, which means you could throw a 2S pack in here and even a 3S pack because this speed controller can handle it. But lots of webbing throughout the chassis to help brace it up. They've got the arch front plate for bracing. This also secures the dual bell crank steering. The bell cranks are ball bearing supported. That's very cool. Small bulkhead up front. Moving to the rear of the chassis, they have a water-resistant receiver box. The rear shock tower is integrated into the rear section of the chassis. You can see it's a multiple-piece setup. It really makes it rigid. There's a separate skid piece in the rear, so that could be replaced. That supports the transmission. And then you can see they got a motor guard out back. I was really psyched to see the suspension on this ready to run. It's much like some of the racing vehicles. They've got the swept arms on the front, adjustable turnbuckles, steel pivot balls, the 12mm large bore V2 shocks. These are oil filled, and they give you spacers so you could adjust the preload, but these feel really good. Dual O-rings on the inside for seals. Back out to the suspension. They've got their large caster blocks, and the steering spindles can even be adjusted. There's spacers on the top and bottom. Ball bearings, and then the steel axle that is actually part of the 12mm hub that keys into the wheels. Out back, they've got swept arms in the rear, really heavy duty looking hubs on the outside, and adjustable tie rods up top. Plenty of mounting positions so you could just roll. Of course, you could adjust the camera with those adjustable tie rods. A little bit taller of a shock in the rear and feels just as plush. So this is a 2-wheel drive buggy, which means the transmission is just located in the rear. It's got so many 4-wheel drive cars coming out. It's refreshing to see another 2-wheeler. There's a gear differential inside the case, metal gears inside the gear diff. Then they've got their nylon idler gear and a top shaft up to the slipper clutch. Nice to see an aluminum motor plate. That slipper clutch is accessible through this rubber plug on the outside if you need to adjust that. Ball bearings on the inside, steel drive shafts, and they're a CV style. They go out to the hub supported by large ball bearings. It feels like they've actually packed the diff with some grease. You got to watch that with some other cars. They don't put a lot of grease in the gear diff, and that's why you're going to spin out. So it feels like Associated built this right. These guys are world champions. They know how to build a car. Finally, the electronics. There is a metal geared servo up front, and they do have a servo saver on there. I wish they got rid of that. That's just it's got to protect the steering if you're new to driving, but you know, for those of us that have been wheeling a car before, I'd rather see just a solid servo horn on there. Nonetheless, it's going to work, and it's an easy change if you need to do it. Over here, the RB SC600BL speed controller. Again, this is 2 to 3S capable. It's got a Dean's plug on it, and it is programmable. Inside the receiver box, they've got their DVC receiver in there, which means it's got a gyro. So again, those that are new to driving, you might want to use that. That is going to actually give the car some electronic correction. So let's say you're spinning out, it's going to do some counter steering for you, help keep the car under control. Then in the rear, they've got a 3300 kV motor, brushless motor, sensorless. Now I'm going to head to RC Madness. We're going to hit the dirt for some off-road action. All right, guys, I'm up at RC Madness, and since this is a rear-motor car, we're going to hit the dirt. This is an 8-scale track, so it's going to look a little slow out here, but we're just going to make the best of it. Just had to try the turf too. This car looks pretty good over here. Actually, I'm not gonna go over that jump, it's all messed up. We'll just skirt that. There you go. Full throttle down the back straight. This thing's fun to drive on turf, actually. Rear motor turf cars. Some chassis roll there. Switch back through. That's looking good. It's basically like stock class power, I think. Transitions well. I mean, it's probably got a dirt setup on there. It's working good. Little kick up off of that jump. Doesn't have enough power to get it, but through that corner, almost full throttle. That was pretty cool. There's just something about buggies. Two-wheel drive buggies. They're fun to drive. So let's check out the top speed of the RB10. It's not going to be blistering fast, but I'm here. Might as well see how fast it goes. And there's our top speed. I don't even need to go that far. We'll just swing it back around just because. Go past me. Meow. And we'll bring it back in. Let's see what we got here. 20 miles an hour. There you go. That's on a 2S battery, the stock 2S battery pack. If you got the right spot to run them, two-wheel drive buggies are a fun and challenging RC to drive. When I got into RC, my first 6 RC cars were actually buggies. And I think an RC buggy, like a two-wheel drive version like this, rear motor, really teaches you how to drive an RC car. You have to have some finesse with the throttle. You got to manage your corners with this, otherwise it may spin out on you. And definitely jumping is a little bit of a challenge. And all that is a good thing. And racing a two-wheel drive buggy could be so much fun. Again, if you have the right spot, if you got some friends to run with. And this latest version, the RB10 from Team Associated, I think is one of their best ready to run buggies yet. Had a real good time driving it up at RC Madness, mostly on the turf. The dirt was a bit loose. The track hasn't been touched since last race season. And I think it's set up good for, just general purpose use. It is a ready to run. This could definitely be tuned a bit more for track use. I mean, this is, again, just getting you into it. And I think it's a really good package. I think it could use a bit more speed though. And I took a look at the pinion gear. It's got an 18 tooth on it. You could probably go up at least another tooth or two before you have to start worrying about your temperatures. Obviously, you want to check those if you do gear up with it. But the buggy handles well, it jumps well, it's got decent steering to it. Sometimes the DVC was a little bit finicky and kind of making the buggy sway a little bit, so you may want to dial it down. If you do use it when you're racing, you can't use it at all. But again, this is a fun buggy for multiple purpose use, whether you're hitting the track or just driving around a dirt lot. It's definitely a nimble buggy to drive. I took it out for a quick top speed run and hit 20 miles an hour with it, which is kind of on the low end of speed. But again, this has got a 2S battery pack in it. You could probably bump it up a few teeth and just have some more fun. Local hobby shops can get parts for it, but I think it's pretty durable as is. I think you're gonna have a tough time breaking it. I just went through the car, no real issues to contend with, and the differential still feels actually pretty good. So I like the buggy. Nice job, Team Associated. If you're into it, I'll have a link in the video description below.